Hello and welcome to Celtic Down Under. My name is Laura Bradburn and I'm joined by Liam for the second of our World Cup previews of the national teams, all 32 national teams at the FIFA World Cup in 2022. Liam, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Excited to talk about today's team because I've actually got a couple of quid on them to win the tournament.
Well, we'll get into that. Now, I have to say, I've not fully engaged and I have ruined the continuity here. Liam's wanting to make it look like, you know how on Strictly Come Dancing where they actually do the results show later on the Saturday night and then they air it on the Sunday? That's kind of what's happening here. Liam's gone for the full shirt change and I'm just sitting here as if we didn't record this 5 minutes ago. But we'll get into it anyway. The second
Stupid
team...
I've still got the same shirts hanging up behind me, so that's going right out the window.
Well, I don't think room decoration matters. I just don't want people to think I've been sitting here for a couple of days in the same shirt, you know. But anyway, we shall crack on. Second team we're looking at, if you don't know, we already previewed Qatar. You can see that in a previous video. We are now looking at another team in the same group, the Netherlands. A lot of people probably think they know the Netherlands national team, Liam. Have to say though, as with all these things, you have your assumptions and then you start looking at things and it's not quite as it seems.
No, they're a wee bit of a, how can I say, a wee bit of an unpredictable element, the Netherlands team. They are heavy favourites to qualify from this group, which in all honesty I fully expect they will, because I think they are a cut above the other three teams. But still, they go from the sublime to the ridiculous. You know, they're a team that could beat Brazil today and lose to Scotland tomorrow. You know, it's one of those. They're a very hot and cold team. You know.
You know, in some senses, they are a bit more stable than Holland teams of the past. We all know the Holland team of the 90s and early noughties, where there was multiple rumoured divisions in the dressing room, the nature of which I'm not going to go into on this show. But they are a team that kind of self-sabotage their own successes at times. A team that you might think had won the World Cup, but of course have never done so. Came closest, I think, in 1974 with Johan Cruyff and Neeskens and the likes of that. But a little bit more sparse in their record in recent years.
Yeah, they are a team in transition, or they have been for the last few years. But I think they have now largely weathered that transition. They underachieved at the last Euros, but they looked like a fairly decent team. They've looked good in qualifying since then. But yeah, again, you know, as I say, I've taken them as an outside bet to possibly win the tournament, because if everything clicks for them, they could. But as we well know as Celtic fans, you know, sometimes even if you create loads of chances, you still don't get the points on the board, especially at the highest level.
Yeah.
So it remains to be seen whether or not this Dutch team will actually deliver on the promise that I think they show at the moment.
Well, I'm going to just pull this up just to give people an idea of the kind of sparse record that I'm talking about here. So this is hopefully it'll come up in a wee second. Share screen. Doesn't want to help me. Anyway, but I'll describe it for you just now. So you know, did not enter the 1930 World Cup. Understandable, 1930s, maybe not got the infrastructure there. They did not qualify for any of the World Cups between 1958 and 1970. Then they came second in both the 1974 and 78 World Cups. Didn't qualify for 82 and 86. Round of 16 at 1990, quarterfinals at 94, fourth place at 98. Then again, didn't qualify in 2002. Round of 16 in Germany, runners up in South Africa in that famous final in 2010, third place in 2014, and haven't been at a World Cup since 2014. So it's this kind of thing of I don't think you can bet against them when they're in the finals. But then
No,
sometimes you just don't get there.
Aye, when they get there, they seem to do all right, but they don't always get there. That's the issue.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was doing a bit of research on the team, and there's some players that you just assume in that squad will have played at a World Cup. Virgil van Dijk, Frenkie de Jong, and I think one of the only players to be present as far back as the 2014 World Cup from the Holland squad is Memphis Depay.
Yeah. I think you're right there. I think he might be certainly one of only two or three.
Does that concern you then, that as much as they are a well-known team, they have a lot of good players, a lot of players playing at the likes of Bayern Munich, Ajax, the top tier, top cream of the crop in Europe. A World Cup's a different kettle of fish. Does the lack of experience in the squad of that environment concern you at all?
Well, you see, there's two ways you can look at that issue, and it's a kind of a glass half empty, glass half full kind of thing. On one hand, yes, there's a lack of World Cup experience in that squad, but on the other hand, you've got guys who have won basically everything else in club football, and now feel like they've got a point to prove. Because guys like Van Dijk, who are approaching 30 now, this might be their only shot at a World Cup. Because if the Netherlands go through the kind of spells they usually go through, they might well not qualify for the next one. So this might be their one and done. So I think a lot of them are going to be highly motivated to go out there and show what they're all about. Because I remember reading an article by I think it was Ruud Gullit years ago, and he was talking about how frustrated he was with the 1990 World Cup, because before the tournament, everyone was saying, "Oh, this Dutch team is going to, they're going to wipe the floor with everybody," and not only did they not win it, but their most bitter rivals, Germany, ended up winning it. Which just, to the average Dutchman, that's like us sitting back and watching England win a World Cup. It's not something you would wish on your worst enemy. But the thing is that he said, won everything in club football, but in his view, won the Euros in '88 as well, obviously, but never really came close to a World Cup.
Yeah.
And I thought that's the level of humility that a World Cup can put into. Even an absolute legend like Ruud Gullit is like, I just didn't do it. We didn't turn up.
It's fascinating to me, just because I think we're very down on ourselves in Scotland anyway about our inability to qualify for the World Cups. Never mind anything that you do there. But when you've got a nation with the football and heritage of the Netherlands struggling to make an impact on that level themselves, it kind of makes you think, well, this is not just a case of turn up and try your luck. There's a team there who've had multiple generations of gifted footballers who haven't managed to make a real stamp on things, regardless of the fact they've made multiple semi-finals and finals. They're one of those teams to me, basically, who you'll know within the first 10 minutes of the first game whether they're up for it.
Aye, that's a very good point. And traditional at the World Cup, they are, they're amongst that group of teams, along with like Germany, Argentina, France, Spain, where usually at least one of them crashes and burns in the first round and shocks everybody. The coupon buster, as my dad calls them, Is it going to be Holland? I don't think so, but, it could be. That's the reality of it.
Speaking of coupon busters, and this is very apt for the time that we're recording this show, so it might be out of date by the time you're watching this, but the Champions League group stages are now, at the time we record, only one game left, and 5 of the 12 teams who tried to break away to a European Super League will be playing Europa League football at best after Christmas. So perhaps the entitlement that comes with believing that you are owed something in the game doesn't bear fruit as much as you might think, but it's an interesting one nevertheless. Going ahead to look at the team and the squad, or the likely squad for the World Cup for Holland, who are your players to watch amongst them?
Well, as I say, Virgil van Dijk going to be his first and possibly only World Cup. I think he's going to lead by example. He's won it all with Liverpool. He is an awesome footballer. He's going to be, he is widely touted as one of the best central defenders in the world. But on the other hand, there are central defenders far less gifted than him that have won World Cups. So he has that to prove. And I think that is going to be his motivation. I think Memphis Depay, like we mentioned before, as a returning veteran, is also going to be one that the younger members of the squad are going to look up to lead by example. And again, he's another player that blows very hot and cold. And usually when he plays, the Netherlands play.
Yep.
When he doesn't, it all kind of falls apart. So I think those are two players that are going to be instrumental, because Van Dijk is going to drive the team on, and Depay is the one they're going to look to when they need that wee bit of inspiration or spark in a game where they're toiling.
Absolutely, I think you're onto something there. I think for me, my pick of the Holland squad is a player for whom I have a lot of time has a soft spot in my heart. Is Frenkie de Jong. He came through Ajax, obviously. I had the fortune of seeing him in 2018 in that famous young Ajax team that did wonders in the Champions League with the likes of Matthijs de Ligt, Frenkie himself, Dusan Tadic, Van de Beek before he found his calling to sit on the Manchester United bench. I think Frenkie de Jong is a player who kind of does something that no other player I've seen can do, or certainly in the modern game anyway. He's got this long striding run where he can carry the ball, tens of yards up the pitch very, very swiftly, catching teams out, creating space for his teammates. I think although he tends to sit a little bit deeper in the midfield, he's the thing through which so much is created, both for his club side at Barcelona and for the national team. And for anybody who follows Barcelona closely, you'll know perhaps that Frenkie de Jong is at odds with the club over what they're calling deferred wages, which in my language just means unpaid wages. But I admire his ability at the age of 25 to deal with all that and still put in performances both at club and international level. Is he a player you know much about, a player that you think could make an impact for the team?
Yeah, well, he's a player that cost me a few quid a while ago, because I bought a new Ajax top with his name on it, and a week later he signed for Barcelona.
It's not that one, is it? It's not that one.
No. You see, this one I've got Cruyff on the back, because I thought that never goes out of date, so we're safe there, right? But no, he's an amazing player. And like you say, all the turmoil at Barcelona just now, he has, although he's made it clear he's not happy, he has been the model professional on the park. Yes. And that's for someone still relatively young, that is a remarkable level of maturity.
Yes.
And like you say, it's a relatively young team going to this World Cup, so they're going to need that maturity if they're going to get to where they want to be. So yeah, he will be alongside my previous picks of Van Dijk and Depay. I'm glad you brought him up, because he would be another one that I would say is worthy of a mention, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and one that maybe won't be on people's radars, just another one to look out for. I'll not ask you to go into detail on him, because I know not a lot of people are aware of him, but Ryan Gravenberch, who was at Ajax and signed for Bayern Munich this summer, a pretty dynamic midfielder as well to look out for, who, if he gets the chance at this World Cup, I'm not sure what his chances of being selected are, but if he gets the chance at this World Cup, only 20 years old, could really make a name for himself the way so many young players do in these situations.
I mean, my only real knowledge of him was reading an article where Oliver Kahn was absolutely raving about him, and I thought, well, if a guy like Oliver Kahn says you're the man, then that's enough for me,
Absolutely.
So yeah, I really I hope that he's not going to start, but I hope he makes the squad because it's a guy who you would love to see on that international stage to see what he can really do. And Bayern know how to pick a player, so they obviously know what he's going to become, even if he's not quite there yet.
We shall see. I'm going to look like an absolute genius if it turns out he has the World Cup of his dreams, or I'm going to look like an idiot if he's not even in the final squad. We'll wait and see. They kick off on the 21st of November. Obviously, we mentioned in the previous show that Qatar are opening the World Cup against Ecuador in that Group A on the 20th of November. 21st of November, Senegal and Netherlands will kick off. A tough opening game for both teams there, but let's focus on Netherlands for this section of our review anyway.
Yeah.
With points so tight in these group games, is a win vital for the Netherlands against Senegal in that opening match, do you think?
I think not losing is vital. Because the thing is, with the World Cup, you lose your first game, suddenly it's like, oh no, if we get beat, we're out. Right? Because you lose 2 games, you're out. It's that simple. But I think, I could see that game being like maybe a 2-each draw or something. I could see both teams going for it, but ultimately both coming away happy with a point, fairly confident that they could beat the other 2 teams in the group.
Yeah, that sounds a fair shout to me. I think it's going to be interesting because I think it might go a long way, that first match between those two, to, like you say, helping establish exactly what the finishing group's going to look like. Now, for anybody who didn't watch the Qatar team preview, I would encourage you to go and watch it because Liam made quite a prediction in that show that I'm not going to reveal exactly what the prediction was, but his answer to my next question will reveal an awful lot about the state of the group in Liam's mind anyway, by the end of those opening games. And I'll say this, the Netherlands, what are their chances of getting through the group, Liam?
Yeah, I think they will win the group. I think they will win the group. And in terms of the whole tournament, possible winners, I think at least the last 4.
As I don't think you can bet against that. Looking at their history, they're a kind of all or nothing. It's all
Aye.
Well, I was about to use a phrase there that's quite common in Scotland, but I don't think it's very family friendly, so I'll not bother. But it's all or nothing with them, and I think you're entirely right. I would back you to say if they get through the group, which I think they will. I'm saying at least semi-finals for them, and we'll see how we go. That might turn out to be a very naive prediction because we all know how teams can collapse at the World Cup. Giants like France going out in the group stages and in recent World Cups and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens anyway. But anything else you want to mention about Netherlands before we head off?
Well, obviously, please gamble responsibly, everybody. But I've got a fiver on them at 14-1 to win the tournament, and I am quietly confident.
Yeah, but this is also a guy who bought a Frankie de Jong Ajax shirt just before he moved. So, be careful who you're listening to, folks.
Yeah. Also the guy who said Rangers are running scared because Shane Duffy's going to tear it up. So, yeah.
Yikes. I mean, it wasn't me that reminded people of that. That was you. But we'll leave it there. Liam, thank you very much for joining me. This is only the second in a series of 32 videos where we're going to cover every team at the World Cup. So if you haven't watched the Qatar one, get onto it. Watch this one and watch the next one because they will be thick and fast coming over the next few weeks before we get to the Qatar World Cup itself. Liam, thank you for joining me and I'll see you in the next one.
See you then. Thank you.